Hello, this is Michael Stollaire and the very first edition of Reality Check, a succinct commentary on the most salient geopolitical issues in the world today. In the words of Albert Einstein, the world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about evil. Are you feeling a bit blue and let down, not unlike December 26th? That's because, yes, Super Tuesday is officially over. As I accurately predicted months ago, the typical scenario played itself out, with incumbents winning over most of their seats. This would indicate that the sheeple are following their pre-programmed brainwashing and heading like zombies to the polls, voting for the names that they recognize, which are the candidates who have spent literally tens of millions of dollars to buy the office and brainwash the American people through a mass media blitz like a chapter out of George Orwell's 1984. Meg Whitman and Steve Poizner in California are excellent examples of this, and so is Bloomberg in New York City. This is why we need to enforce both term limits of 2 terms of 2 years per office and a cap on campaign funds of $500,000 or less per campaign. This will ensure that the intentions of the founders' constitutional principles remain intact. The idea of career politicians will be destroyed, corruption will be mortally wounded, and yes, American patriots will finally take office, who truly represent the average citizen on Main Street. I'm very disturbed about the apathy that is a pervasive epidemic throughout America. Most of us are upset, and rightfully so. However, simultaneously, we feel that nothing we do will have any impact and that things will never change because you can't fight City Hall, after all. I'm here to tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. Our founding fathers built this country after defeating the then world superpower, Great Britain, and Jefferson and Company reminded us that we should keep a close eye on government, as its nature will be to absorb control and power, draining the republic of its freedom and liberty, replacing it with oppression and tyranny. This is happening right now. The fact is that we've become too comfortable. We've taken our freedom for granted, and as a result, America has been weakened as a whole to the point where we could accurately be viewed as an empire in decline. If we do not reverse this negative momentum, we will eventually lose our superpower status, most likely due to complete fiscal bankruptcy, and another superpower will emerge, most likely our enemy China, who has already succeeded in infiltrating our educational system to begin indoctrinating our children with their Confucius classroom. This is exactly what's going on today in America. For a moment, forget about the various initiatives that are being put forth by the current administration, and you will see that the common denominator is government usurping the states and the people, denying us our First and 10th Amendment rights, with each piece of legislation annexing additional power to the state. This is directly out of the Communist Manifesto and is occurring as I speak. If you're like me, you're waking up every day to see another bomb being dropped in the news and are completely shell-shocked to the point where you don't even want to know what's going on. If you are keeping track of it and have the stomach for it, you're being placed in the middle of a dizzying maze of events, feeling like a juggler that is being thrown a new ball every second. Eventually, even the master will drop something in the middle of the confusion. Take my word for it. All of this is being done on purpose, as the government has been using the mass media for many years to shape their form of brainwashing and propaganda onto the American public. They want you to get sick and tired of hearing the bad news every day, so you tune out, or at worst, they'll throw something new at you every day, so you can't keep track of what's actually happening. I firmly believe that the current administration is executing this as part of their plan of fundamentally changing America into a socialist state, and pushing for global governance in order to destroy the sovereignty of the USA. I don't know about yourself, but as for me, I want to be an American citizen, not a citizen of the world, as Obama put it recently, when he was talking to the West Point cadets about his version of the New World Order. We're so delirious at this point, we've forgotten who our allies and enemies are, it seems, given current world events. They realize that if you're ignorant and blind to daily events or so confused that you can't keep up with what's really going on, they win. The bottom line is that Obama and company's various initiatives all have one thing in common. They grant more and more control and power to a centralized state government, while simultaneously taking all of our unalienable rights out of our grasp. Therefore, putting massive amounts of time and energy into protesting each individual piece of legislation, like Obamacare, financial reform, and so forth, is insignificant in comparison to focusing in on taking action every day to ensure that the elections on November 2nd overthrow the liberal majority in Washington, D.C., and replacing progressive interests in the Republican Party with conservative constitutionalists. Why is this happening? Because the government of the USA remembers what happened in the 1960s, when many Americans marched the streets, waved flags and banners, and protested various things that upset us, which had little to no impact. This is why they are treating the Patriot and Tea Party movements as if they were annoying flies in the summer sun. The lords know that if they stay in their castle, surrounded by impenetrable defenses, that eventually the peasants will get sick and tired of protesting and will give up. Most likely, Congress and the executive branch have betting pools going on that place odds on the exact time everyone will quit and go home. The result? Business as usual in D.C. As a former clinical psychology major, I can tell you that if you believe that you as an individual will have no impact and can't change the destiny of this country, then certainly you will not. When Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig came up to bat, I can assure you that while they were warming up in the on-deck area, they were visualizing nailing a home run past the upper deck, past the green monster of Fenway Park in the current day and age. They knew that if they considered that they might strike out, the chances of failure would increase. All of us need to start believing that we can change America right now and start taking steps back towards faith in the Constitution to ensure liberty and freedom not only for ourselves, but for many generations to come, our children and grandchildren. Then America will continue to stand as the world's best hope, a guiding light shining from Lady Liberty across the vast oceans, leading those that aspire to greatness to the shores of the United States of America. Edmund Burke once said, "All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing." There are a relative handful of people taking action right now, and they're exhausted, not unlike Atlas carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. I grew up in a small town where if somebody needed help, everybody would pitch in to help their friend and neighbor. And this same mechanism, basically, being a good Christian, needs to be leveraged in our current political sphere of influence. I've been preaching the fact that the 80-20 rule needs to be reversed, so that 20% of the people are watching 80% of the people taking action. Right now, we have 80% of the USA on the sidelines, just complaining after watching Fox News, but doing nothing to actually make change happen in our great republic. I want to tell you that life is not a spectator sport. Here's some advice if you want to save and preserve our great republic. Number 1, have faith. Number 2, believe that you can change America for the better and save freedom and liberty. Number 3, research who the endorsed conservative candidates are in your district or state through great organizations like iCaucus and Get Out of Our House. Number 4, contact them immediately and volunteer for that candidate or become a staffer. Number 5, donate your time to leverage the power of 10 and make 10 phone calls, send 10 emails, recommend the websites of your candidates to 10 of your friends, canvass the neighborhood and knock on 10 doors to speak to 10 people about your candidates, and plant 10 yard signs and so forth. Number 6, most importantly, last but not least, take action. Believe it or not, the oligarchy is afraid of you because you have the right to vote. And just as David slayed Goliath, the American people can take their country back. Have faith. Believe in yourself and your country. Remember the American patriots that have fought and died for your freedom. That would be in vain if America falls, and remind yourself daily that defeat is simply not an option. The time to start working is now. You can take your first break on November 3rd, and then we can talk about the push to 2012. This is Michael Stollaire concluding this edition of Reality Check, reminding you that the fate of America is truly in your hands. You can read more about me, my positions on the issues, and innovative contemporary solutions on the web at StollaireForCongress.org. God bless, and as always, stay strong.